It all got started when an idea struck that there really wasn't in Ghana a tech podcast. After gathering the boys and having a sumptuous lunch, we agreed and decided to give it a start. First episode, sound was bad. We learned from our mistake and improved really fast. Not quite enough by a good fan base, our desire to grow kept us ablaze. 2 episodes down, then Daniel got sick, broken before the recording of the third. Yet that didn't hold us from hosting our first guest, who helped us understand the landscape of artificial intelligence. Daniel recooperated, but Andy was next, and so in episode 4 he was absent. We got scared at first, but it went well in the end. The excitement rejuvenated as we 3 were present in episode 5. We felt it when we discussed e-payments and its integrations in real life, with Andy being stoked about the insane intros of mine, but let's not get into that yet because time's not by our side. Straight down to episode 6, we only had a prince who sips wine while playing Rainbow Six. Yes, as you may have guessed, Daniel was sick. Satan must have been using my fellow nibs to play hide and seek. I didn't want to believe it, but it looked like it was becoming a thing. So we prayed more than one of us stay healthy for each show at least. The 7th course session began and it seemed our prayers didn't work. Andy in the hospital, sad and wrecked. How down we all were after being addressed. And since one nib was ill, Roxanne decided to step in so he can rest. Here we are for the 8th, the final episode we've been waiting for days. Daniel is here, strong and safe. We are an honorable guest in the studio today. Meanwhile, Andy is with the Almighty and Roxanne is late. So whether you are listening at 5:25 or 9:28, we are grateful you've been with us from beginning till date. And we are glad you've joined us once again. We hope this final episode for the season ends well, nice, complete, and sweet. Together we'll make this great. So let the show begin.
That's poetic, eh?
Right. Motion sprung again. Hello there. Here we come with precision, speed, and accuracy. The Ionables Tech Podcast is here again to put the icing on your beautiful tech. It is November the 8th. And as I said in the last episode, I had to reserve the rest for this day. With me as ever is the man to put things in order, Daniel Mensah. And also our most awaited guest, the man to help us understand the telecommunication terrain.
Thank you.
Odai.
Thank you. It's a privilege to be here. I followed Ionables from the first episode, and I'm inspired by what you guys have started. And I think that it's in the right direction. I look forward to us hitting 1 million views and readers and viewers.
Amen to that.
But before then, we'll have to get a game going. So yeah, we are here today.
Right.
Hopefully I can answer your questions.
So let's begin. We are talking about telecommunications today and data transmission. I guess almost everyone has a device and you use the internet. So there is some kind of communication going on. You make phone calls, you send text messages, and that should be some kind of communication. We really want to understand how this works. So we would like to ask, what is telecommunication?
It's a million in one question, but let me try tackle it from the beginning.
Okay.
So we've always communicated for whatever reason. Mankind had always found a way to communicate, from the days of gathering smoke and gong beaters and beating drums. We have evolved over the years to get to where we can make communication fast, easy, and most importantly, affordable. Over the years, I want to jump all the prehistory stuff and get to, let's say, monophones, radios, where one way in. So I speak, you must wait, and then when I'm done, you can speak. If you try to speak, you cannot hear me.
Like the walkie-talkie.
Yes, we call them radios. Okay. So the walkie-talkies, we still use them, especially on mine sites. On my projects, we still use them. Push to talk. So let's start from there. But then there were limitations. It means that if Franz wants to speak to me, and Franz is a talkative like me, then he has to wait for 10 minutes for me to say everything before he can come in. If Franz gets pissed at some point and presses his, whatever I say, no one can hear. So that was a monophone. Then we had to move to telephone, where both of us could speak and hear each other at the same time. So mono 1 telephone. Now, telephones were fixed, like sitting here. But as man evolved, we always on the run. We wanted to. So now we had to go a telephone, mobile phone, small. So I remember then Kasapa and all those ones. I want to jump all those and then move to transmission. So transmission is basically how we're able to send signals in and out for us to speak. Okay. Technically, there are 3 forms of transmission, 3 pillars of transmission. There's microwave, there's datacom or IP, and there's optical, which is fiber. Okay. So we'll focus more on fiber now. Okay. Microwave started telecommunication. Fiber optic has taken over. IP is doing well. Okay. The future of telecommunication is fiber over IP. Okay. What we call FOIP. Yeah. So the
microwave has been thrown out.
Yes. So why did microwave have to go away? So microwave had to do with 2 antennas. Okay. So antenna 1 facing antenna 2. Mm-hmm. If, for instance, you put antenna 1 in location A and antenna 2 in location B, they have to face each other directly.
A perfect line of sight.
Thank you. If at any point in time your neighbor decides to put up a building that is so high, you are messed up, you would have to change again. If at any point in time there is rain, then you have attenuation, distortion of signals. Right. So there were so many challenges. Mm-hmm. Now imagine you want to send signals to Kumasi over microwave. What do? You'd have to go to so many sites. So radio 1 looking at radio 2, pick signals, send it to radio 3. By the time you get to the Kumasi, the signals are so weak. Now, if you decide to amplify the signals, in order to get to Kumasi, you would have a challenge, what we call the OSNR, optical to signal noise ratio. The more you amplify signals, the more noise you introduce. The more noise you introduce, the less it is. That is why, if you can remember, before most of our calls, we hear some shh. Yeah. Now there's voice clarity because we are going over fiber optic. So fiber optic came in to address the limitations of microwave. One of them being attenuation, like your DSTV. Just imagine, anytime it rains, you'd have to fulfill the match. You can't watch it. That's true. So it means that with your conventional microwave system, anytime it's raining, your system will go off. And for telecommunication, it's about time, and time is money. We want you to buy airtime, and we want you to talk. The more you talk, the more money you make. The only way the telecommunication company makes money is by selling airtime. So if your airtime keeps sitting on your phone and our systems are off, how do we make our money? So we are losing more. We are paying electricity. We are running standby generators. We are running inverters. Maintenance. All that to get it up. So fiber optic came in to address the issues of microwave so that we can transmit data over a longer distance while solving these challenges, attenuation, all the problems we'll have with microwave. Basically, I think that would give us the history of what transmission is. Okay. So like I said, would branch transmission into 3: microwave, datacomms, what we call IP, and then optical, which is fiber optic, which we are going to focus on for today. Yeah.
So the optical was created and it solved all these problems that you mentioned earlier?
Yes, it was supposed to, and it did. But you see, as we evolve, we want more. So now fiber optic also came with its own problems. Wow. Yes, there are limitations to fiber optic.
The Savior had its own problems.
Yes. So there are limitations to fiber optic, and it is being solved now. Now we have fiber to the homes. The average Ghanaian has fiber to his home. I have fiber in my home now. Right from the cell site, the data center, all to my home is fiber throughout. So what transmission actually does is that it's giving you a pathway for your signals to go through. So you want to send signals from A to B. Yeah. So your fiber optic is just like a lorry or a car that transports or sends signals. Fiber optic is glass.
Is it just glass or there are some other materials?
There are some other, I don't want to go into the physical features of fiber optics. You'd have your cladding, everything, but the strand of fiber is glass. And that it's very delicate. Very, very delicate. So it needs protection. There's cladding. There's so many stuff to protect it. But I want to look at the data transmission of fiber optic. Okay. So this is what happens. So like I said, it's glass. And fiber optic is light. Wow. Yes. So just imagine, if you lay electric cable from here to Tamale and you put a switch, when you switch on, does electricity come on? sharp. So that speed with which you can send electrical signals from here to Tamale is similar speed you could send optical signals from here to Tamale. So what previously you could have to put up antennas with fiber optic, which is glass, within a millisecond, you could send your signals over. So the signals are in the form of lights, and then they hit
and
bounces, and then they are sent over.
Wow.
So this is what is actually happening. Why did we have to do fiber optic? So let's say we have site A, let's say we're in Spinktest now, and site B, let's say Teshi. Okay. So fiber optic, you could do it in various forms. You could do ducts, you could bury it, you could do OPGW, overhead. In advanced countries, we have dedicated pathways for fibers. So all telcos coming together, and there's a dedicated trench where everyone must pass their fiber. Unfortunately, for developing countries like Ghana, we don't have. So today you see MTN digging the left side of the road to bury their fiber. Tomorrow we see another, maybe Vodafone doing this. So let's leave all that and say that we have laid our fiber. We have a fiber from here to Teshi. Let's say Spinktest to Teshi. We want to send signals. Okay. Like I said, fiber is just a transmission. So you could be sending IP signals. You could be sending any form of signals you want to send. So you transmit and receive. So usually you would work with fiber on 2 cores, transmit and receive. So let's say your core 1 on transmit, the same core 1 that is transmit in Spinktest, when it gets to Teshi, is receive. So I am sending here on my right hand, you are receiving there. You send on your left hand, I receive here. So transmit receive is your receive transmit. It's inverse. So we can send signals from here to Teshi easily. That was what fiber optic came in to do. But then with time, it had limitations. Let's say we have a 24 core fiber buried underground. Before you can do fiber, first you need permits and all that. So imagine you go through all the wahala getting what we call ROW, the rights of way to trench and all that. Yeah. Then you have 24 customers here. You plug in. First, you have 1 customer. You plug in, transmit and receive, right? You use 2 cores. As time goes on, Daniel comes. Okay, I also want signals. You give him another 2. By the time you have 24 customers, you've exhausted your fiber. Now you must trench all the way to Teshi again and put another fiber. It is cost.
That's true.
So how do we solve this? So how about we can do a system where we can multiplex all our signals onto 1 core. So Daniel, Franz, me, all our signals in Spinktest on 1 core, send it. When we get to Teshi, we demultiplex it and send it to the various.
When multiplex means bringing them together.
Yes, bringing them together. So instead of putting each one on 1 core, you put them all on 1 single core and transmit them. So there came the future of fiber optic, what we call WDMs, wavelength divisional multiplexing.
Okay.
So what wavelength divisional multiplexing basically is that it's allowing you saying, bring all signals of all forms. I don't care. Bring me IP signals, give me TCP signals, give me SDH signals, give me microwave signals. I don't care. Give them to me. I'll send them over. When I get to Teshi, I'll break them down. And whoever needs to pick would pick whatever they will do. So that was one problem, another solution. Another problem fiber optic has to do with cuts. So now fiber optic works with losses. Okay. Fiber, like I said, is glass. Doesn't like dirt. Now, anytime you have a cut on a fiber, you'd have to join it. Anytime you join a fiber, you introduce a loss. We have what we call the splice loss. We have what we call the distance loss. Okay. For every kilometer of fiber, you should have a loss of, let's say, depending on the type of fiber you're doing. So there are 2 modes of fiber. Sorry, we didn't talk about them. We've got a single mode and then the multi-mode. Okay. The single mode allows you to send data signals probably through 1 single mode, 1 single medium. Multi-mode, of course. There are specifications where you use single mode and multi-mode. I don't want to go into all that because we are talking about transmission. So imagine you have a single mode. So anytime you cut the fiber, you introduce and you need to join them back, you introduce losses. And in our parts of the world where construction is going on, and this is the major problem fiber optic is facing in developing country like ours, damage. So imagine you have a fiber from here to Teshi. There's a cut at Manette. You send your guys there. Anytime you join the fiber, you introduce loss. The more loss on the signal, the less potency of the fiber stretch. So there's a possibility that by the time you had so many cuts, you've rendered that fiber useless because there's so much loss on, and you cannot transmit data anymore. Yeah. That is so that's why sometimes your systems might go off. You realize that you can't use your data because somebody cut the fiber somewhere because he decided to put up a house and did not see maybe an excavator or maybe a shovel or something went in. And the funny thing with fiber is that if there is a cut, for you to detect the cut, you would have to go to the site. So the guy probably monitoring will tell you, oh, there's a loss of signal, there's a problem here. For you to know where the cut is, you would need to test the fiber. And you can only test the fiber from each end. So let's say Teshi to Nungwa. So let's say the cut could be close to Teshi, but you come here and test. You know your fiber.
That's the problem.
That is the problem. So let's say Teshi to Spring Test is 20 kilometers.
Yeah.
So you use your OTDR, an instrument used for measuring fiber optic.
Okay.
So you test and you realize that you have 16 kilometers. But you know your cable is supposed to be 24 kilometers. So it tells you that 16 kilometers from the site, there is a cut.
Yeah.
But if you test from Teshi's side, it will only be 5 kilometers. But because you came here, you don't know where the cut is. You came here to test. Now you have to drive all the way there. When you go there, you would have to dig that cable. Probably sometimes by the time you get there, you see that, the place is. You would have to take it out, introduce a joint box, and put the fiber back together. Now, as time goes on and you do this, you introduce more losses to the fiber. And I did speak about optical signal to noise ratio earlier. I'll come back to that. The more losses you introduce, the more you render that fiber cable useless. Yeah. So you'd want to, at one point in time, okay, fine, I don't care about that cable again. I'll have to dig all over again. And that is the biggest challenge telcos are dealing with now.
Wow, currently. So
there is
no solution yet.
For fiber optic cuts, there is a solution.
Okay.
The solution is to introduce what we call protection rings.
Okay.
So instead of having a one route from here to Teshi, it is better to have a ring. So from Spinktest, if you want to go to Teshi, you can have, instead of 2, you have 3. Let's say Nungwa. So there's a fiber from Teshi to Spinktest to Nungwa back to Spinktest. What you actually do is that you set up your systems to work in such a way that anytime there is a cut on this, the system can pick it in the slightest possible or the shortest possible time and then resend the signals through Nungwa to Teshi. There are different forms of protection. We've got the MSP, multi-protocol switch layer protections. We've got the ERPs, depending on the kind of transmissions you're doing, which I don't want to go into detail on. Yeah. But the only solution for fiber cuts now is for protections, what we call the 1+1. So if I lose this arm, I can reroute the signals to the other side.
Yeah.
If I lose both hands, I'm gone. So now what telcos are doing is that they are doing what we call 1+1, running rings instead of having. So Accra to Kumasi, I don't want to mention telcos, but most telcos have got a route, let's say, from Accra through Suhum, Nsawam, all the way to Kumasi. Wow. They will have another route, let's say Accra, Cape Coast, Asin Fosu, through to Kumasi. Okay. They might have another one to Accra, Koforidia, Linda Doda area, back to Kumasi. 3 or 4 routes. Wow. Because you don't want to lose.
That's true.
Like I said, the whole trick is to get you to use your airtime. Mm-hmm. The more you use, the more we get. So why would we want your data to sit with you? Of course, it will expire at some point, which would still get the money. But the trick, if every telco code, they'll give you the fastest internet possible. Yes, if they code. There are so many limitations to that. Maybe we would have to visit why we don't have so much fast internet in Ghana. I can tell you, MTN is always looking for the for ways, Vodafone is always looking for ways to give you the fastest internet possible, because they know if it takes you 2 days to finish your 1 gig, if it's fast, it's going to take you half a day.
I think you have a testimony to that.
So for instance, before 4G, you will find people. So people say like, oh, it's only in Ghana that you do a 1 month subscription and it lasts you 3 days. Yeah. But that 1 month was spread across on a gigabit to day ratio. Let's say if it's a 1 gig, you are meant to use maybe 25 meg a day. But you watch a YouTube video, what are maybe American Idol or something.
An Instagram video.
Yes.
Heavy.
Hey, man, those ones pull, eh?
Very.
Yeah, so that is it. I don't want to deviate from fiber optic. So we're talking about the limitations. Mm-hmm. So like I said, one is cuts. Then I talked about data transmission, which has to do with capacity issue with fiber, which has been addressed with WDMs. Then there is what we call the backbone transmission. So imagine you want to send signals from here to Kumasi. For every transmission rate, there is an upper and a lower threshold.
Okay.
So let's say we want to send IP signals. Maybe we've got some IP, we want to bundle some stuff and send them to Kumasi. Yeah. There's a lower and an upper threshold. Mm-hmm. Maybe the equipment you're using can do maybe 20 kilometers. But from here to Kumasi is about 250 kilometers. How do you compensate for the loss of signal? Because you can only transmit 20 kilometers, but you need to take the thing to 240 kilometers. You have no fiber, it's working. Everything is okay. The fiber says, I've given you the path, but your transmission rate can only go 20 kilometers. How do we solve those backbone issues? So the solution is what we call the dense wavelength division multiplexing, where we are introducing amplifiers and boosters. Mm-hmm. So we are saying that what this technology simply means is that if I pick my signals from Accra and they are going to Kumasi, even though it's 30 maybe it can only go 30 kilometers, my system should be smart enough to know that it's supposed to go 240 kilometers and must be able to boost the signals to be able to reach Kumasi by adding the necessary power needed to send it to Kumasi, boosting it. But the problem is that the more you amplify the signals, the more noise you introduce into it. The more noise you introduce to it, the lesser the clarity of what you do. Right. So what is the solution? How do we solve the problem of optical signal to noise ratio? Fiber optic is evolving. Of course, we've come a long way. I remember in 2011, Ghana was booming with fiber optic. You know, Ghana, people steal copper a lot, cables. This is funny, but I must say it. Don't quote me on it. So I'm not here. So you would go, let's say you send guys to go trench and bury fiber. Let's say from Koforidua to Ibri. By the time you come in the morning, somebody had dug and stolen all the cable. They've taken it somewhere, bent it, hoping to get copper to go sell. So people, and even till now, you find people still stealing fiber, cutting cables, because they are not sensitized enough to know what fiber optic is and what it entails. It's pure glass. People have said, oh, if you come in contact with fiber optic, it will give you cancer and all that. I've heard that people say that. But you see, like I said, it's probably the, what we call the Chamber of Telecoms, whatever, the association would have to probably, over the years, sensitize people on what fiber optic is. And
you should come and look for this podcast.
Yeah, so, I know they're doing something like that, but like I said, the biggest challenge fiber optic is facing now has to do with cuts, damage. And as long as we keep building, people will still keep cutting. Yeah. Because we're building roads, we're building bridges, we're building houses. And telcos it costs them huge sums of money to solve these problems. And it's a big challenge. Like I said, the best thing we should have done was to have dedicated pathways. Okay. So tunnels.
Yeah.
So let's say in China, the Chinese who have taken this whole fiber optic thing to another level, they have dedicated pathways. Let's say Accra to Cape Coast. There's a tunnel that is there, fiber. So MTN wants to lay fiber. They are given a duct. This is your duct, run in it. Vodafone wants it, goes in it. So nobody is coming to dig it.
Yes.
There's a dedicated, I can tell you, sometimes when there's a fiber cut, the guys can go look, trying to look for it. Oh, and I missed one, rodents. No. Bush meat. They chew the fiber.
Wow.
Oh yeah. So we have issues where you will find rats chewing the fiber optic. Akrantie, this was. So you get there, there's nothing there, like nobody.
What?
You look for, but the thing is telling you there's a cat here. You go open the manhole and check. Oh, somebody has chewed. You see, like, you know when rats chew. Yeah. So
those indents they leave behind.
Yes. So this is a typical example. See the rats on the single mode fiber chewing.
Oh, happy.
How can you? Yes. So how do you detect this and solve it? Wow. And that is just by the equipment. So this is less than 2 meters.
Yes.
So imagine in a situation like this, he's just by the equipment chewing. That's like less than a meter from where you're supposed to test.
Yeah.
And that is, let's say, site A. And you're at site B. And you know the distance is supposed to be 20 kilometers. When you measure it will still give you 20 kilometers because it's less than a meter.
That's true.
So you will say, no, there is no cat. But there is a cat.
Yeah.
Some rat or whatever decided to.
They give you tough time when you're trying to troubleshoot.
Yes, so that's it. So
it means it's just glass that can be used. You can't use plastic or any other.
You can. Now, what we are doing is that we're using plastic a lot because it's cheaper. Mm. What we call the POF, plastic optical fiber.
Okay.
So that is the new technology now.
Earlier, you mentioned something about making communication faster but cheaper.
Yes.
So this fiber thing being introduced, does it mean we are going to pay less for our data?
Ideally, yes, we should pay less for our data.
Okay.
I hope no telco holds me to that. But the challenge is that fiber is not the only determinant on telcos billing you. For you to continuously have data on your phone, the telco needs to run a 24 continuous power supply.
That's true.
That includes the hydro ECG power coming in, a standby generator, and then inverter batteries sitting to run the site. That is one side of it. There is another side of it which has to do with equipment costs and deployment. Then there is government taxes, which I don't want to go into, like what we had recently. So all these are coming together.
Yeah.
So if we really want to make data cheap, we might not just as much focus on the transmission of it, because transmission is not the real deal breaker. For me, I think the real deal breaker has to do with operational costs, taxes, and so many things that happens behind the scenes. So in a developed country where they can leverage and make these things easier, you find that data is cheaper. It doesn't mean that they are doing far better than us. It's because maybe government says, okay, I know you're doing this. I'm waiving this percentage of tax for you. I'm doing this for you. And that is for the tax experts and all those power and all that. Someone will say, why don't you use solar? These equipments are using so much power that you can, it can, but is it sustainable over longer periods?
Yeah.
So you would want to rely on your hydro and your standby gen. Remember, your standby gen will run on fuel.
I think I saw a heat map of data prices and Ghana's is not so high.
Oh, we are doing better. I've been privileged to travel across the continent. I don't want to mention countries, but off head now, I can say like 10 countries I know our data is less expensive. I don't want to say cheaper. That ours is less expensive than theirs. If I say cheaper, someone will come and kill me now.
It's also expensive, but just
less expensive. Ours is less expensive. But data prices in the DRC is expensive than this side. Rwanda is expensive. South Africa is expensive. Zambia is more expensive than here. Oh, West Burkina Faso. Yo, too expensive. Togo.
You know what to say.
Okay, so the average telco, but I think that they have a real job on their hands.
Yeah.
And the only way they are making their money is by selling airtime. So I want to address this. People say this. Why do I buy my ECG prepaid and it doesn't expire? But when I buy airtime, it expires. This hasn't got anything to do with transmission. Okay. But I want to address it. Am I allowed to?
Very advanced.
So you always ask, why should a telco let your airtime expire? But when you buy, let's say, ECG prepaid, it doesn't expire. So this is it. If you refuse to make calls for a week, that cell site will run.
Yeah.
Whilst that cell site runs, somebody would have to run there every day to check.
That's true.
The generator there would have to run. The guy sitting at knock would have to come to work and continuously monitor to make sure that signals are up. The field engineer guy must drive there every day to send reports, daily reports. How do we pay for all this just because you decided that you put your data off and not use it for 1 week? So this is it. If we want to go by what you say, then anytime you put your data off, the telco must switch off all their stuff. And when you are ready to use it, you must call them. But how do you call them and tell them, oh, I want to use it now, so put it on? So that it shouldn't be done, but that is one of the problems.
The best explanation I've ever heard.
So for what is the solution for this? The solution is that if telcos can devise strategies where they can buy less expensive but equally efficient equipment. Hello, the Chinese.
Yeah.
Yes. If telcos, and I know most telcos are doing now, I don't want to go into the technicalities of it, but they've switched from European-based equipment to more Chinese-based, which are faster and do equally the same as the European ones and much more cheaper. Because remember, for the equipment, there could be power surge. Boom, goes off. There must be constant supply of space for equipment, parts, and spare. Everything must be there. That must be changed at all times. If telcos can leverage with government to reduce taxes, if all these can be addressed and they can meet in the middle grounds, then the telcos can afford to say that your data shouldn't expire. Yeah. But till that happens, because somebody is milking the telco has to find a way to milk you. So it's a typical case of two elephants fighting, but the grass is suffering. So the end user is actually suffering for the telco and the governing or regulatory bodies' problems. Yeah. Remember, these telcos have regulatory bodies and they have standards they must meet.
True.
So for instance, for the average telco, it is a must from the NCA that for every district there must be 3G there.
Okay. Wow.
Yes. You see, these are things people don't know. And they do a lot of corporate social responsibilities. I don't want to go there. So imagine a district in the north somewhere that has less people. NCA says that there must be 3G there. Now, to do 3G, to deploy 3G is more expensive than 2G. Yeah. So 2G is edge. 3G is H. So just imagine the cost they have to do because the regulatory body says that you must do this. If not, your license is invoked. So there are a lot of dynamics coming into play. But the funny thing is that the telco has to take all the blame because we deal directly with them. The end user does not deal with the government. Yeah. I buy airtime and then it vanishes. Oh, another one. Someone says, oh, so I bought airtime. I didn't do anything. I went to sleep. When I wake up, they took my airtime. So the billing systems of telcos are sophisticated, well-designed systems to work in order not to overcharge or less charge you. Okay. There may be instances where it will fail because it's machine and every machine has got a problem. In an instance where it fails, sometimes they'll send you a message. But this is it. Most people forget that they have background info running on their phones all the time. So you have decided that you are not using your phone. Mm-hmm. But whilst you were sleeping, you can hear him ping, 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 ping. The WhatsApp messages are coming through. Yes. So you were still transmitting and receiving. Yeah. But you see, people, the moment when you put your data off, it's like you saying that there's flood here, so I'm closing my gate. You actually haven't stopped the flood. The flood is sitting by your gate.
So as soon as you open it, it's that same amount.
Exactly.
Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense.
So I meet people say, oh, me, I put it off my data to save. I put off my data so I save data. it doesn't really, it's minimal. It doesn't really make a difference because you only close the gate. You do not divert the pipe. So the moment you open it, all those ones will come. And remember, they are charging you per transmission rate. Okay. So if the rate is maybe 2 pesos per, maybe for every 4 kilobytes of data or of data received is 2 pesos. I don't want to discuss, or I don't know. I actually don't know what the charging rates are. If you have 40 megabytes worth of data waiting by your gate for you, they will still, and that system will not fail. It will take it. Yeah, so that is the challenge, but we will get there. I think that somebody asked, will data get cheaper in Ghana? No, I don't think so. Will it get faster and better? I think yes. So eventually it will compensate for it, but I don't think it will get cheaper.
Okay.
No, I don't think it will get cheaper because there are so many factors playing against it. But we as users can hold telcos responsible.
Okay.
Yeah, we can. You can hold them responsible.
The government should also be listening to the
I think we must get the Minister of Communications. What's the name? Esel or Usu or something.
Yeah.
Maybe we must.
Was it the previous episode? We invited them. The Bitcoin episode. We invited them to listen.
I hope they did.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's it.
I feel like a fiber technician already. Right, Daniel. When we go back home, we should try and lay some fiber from.
I actually have some cables, so you can just.
Oh, nice.
We'll start our own fiber optic company.
We are not buying it.
You put your own network. What will be the source of your network? You'll be a standalone mover. You'll be a standalone. You'll be isolated. But the future is bright for fiber optic, especially for fiber to the home.
Okay.
5 years ago, in 2014, I told some friends that in 4 years' time, the average Ghanaian will have fiber in their home. They almost slaughtered me. Today, with less than 500 cedis, you could get fiber to your home.
Wow.
I can tell you for a fact. It's expensive, but it's worth it. And I can tell you by 2025, the average suburb house in Nima can afford fiber to their home because it might get as cheap as probably 150 or less.
Wow.
I can tell you for a fact.
Yeah.
But it will come with its own challenges.
Yeah.
It will come with its own challenge, but
it
would be cheap. The uses and the benefits of fiber optic is endless. Today I can travel and I can decide to log on to my home's CCTV and see my wife and kid play around.
Yeah.
So if my wife is not around and maybe there's somebody taking care of the baby and maybe hitting the baby or something,
get to see her.
I can see real lifetime videos. Sometimes I can even say, walk to the camera and let's have a convo.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those and more. Hospitals, high-end speed technologies, fiber optic. It's amazing. Wow. It's amazing. Wow. It's endless and it should get better for our part of the world. It was a research. I think it was a group of people, but the lead of it is a Ghanaian.
A Ghanaian?
Yeah, Ghanaian.
Wow.
It's called Dr. Thomas Mensah. He's Ghanaian but American. He has so many patents in his name. I've lost count. I don't want to say, but he is the lead scientist of the discovery of fiber optic.
And you can imagine in his hometown,
there's no
fiber is 15 years.
For young people who want to venture into it, it's like the prospects are high.
Okay.
And for any young person out there who is enthused about fiber optic can read more and can pursue it, I can tell you it is a very interesting technology and it's in to stay.
Okay.
It's in to stay. Yeah.
It's been nice having you.
Justice Owula.
Oh yeah. Thank you. Now you sent my phone. Now I think I'm home.
Yes. You really learned a lot. A whole lot.
I'm glad.
What do you say?
Yeah, I think I have a private class with Owula, so I'm sorted.
Yeah, you can always pass on. I can promise you my private lessons come with a hot meal.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah, so
if you're interested, comment in
the comment section.
The comment section.
Yeah.
We can hook you up.
Yeah.
I can do one free class before the end of the year.
Okay.
Yes, probably somewhere in November when I'm back in town.
Okay.
I can do one free class. So sure. If you really want to have hands-on with fiber optics, splicing, technology and everything, I can do one free class somewhere in November, which I'll get to the host of the show. But it has to come through this show. You must first like and comment.
Of course.
Like, comment, subscribe,
So
share.
please don't pass back and come and tell me what you want to know. No.
Yes, you're not getting it.
So the short code is iAudible. So
Yes, that's it.
you don't have
Simple.
that. You don't have that. You're not getting a free class.
Right. So that's about it. And that brings us to the end of the show. For announcements, this is our last episode, but we haven't left you. We have more interesting stuff coming to you. So please stay tuned. We're on Twitter and Instagram, so please follow us at iOnables. And also don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, iOnables, if you haven't, because there is something interesting coming up soon. Until then, stay tuned and stay happy.
Nice.
Thank you.